Hello scholars, welcome to Dakshinai classroom. In this lecture of AC current, we are going to talk about a new device that is called transformer. Now here it is a transformer. This is a very basic diagram of a transformer. So first let us talk about what is the basic functionality of a transformer. So transformer is basically used for two purposes. So number one purpose of a transformer is to increase the voltage, meaning for example you have a AC source and there is some voltage of the AC source. So transformer can be used to increase the voltage of the source. So number one purpose is to obtain a high voltage AC, a high voltage AC from a low voltage AC. Meaning you have an AC source for a certain frequency. What a transformer can do is it can give you a high voltage AC for the same frequency. Okay. So as you can guess, second purpose is to obtain a low voltage AC from a high voltage AC source. So to obtain a low voltage AC from a high voltage AC source, like this, a high voltage AC source. So these are the two main things for which the transformers are generally used. Now there is a specific name for this. When you use the transformer to obtain high voltage from a low voltage, what you are actually doing? You are actually stepping up the voltage, meaning you are increasing the voltage some many folds. So this is called your step up. Step up means from low to high. So step up transformer. Now that is not true false, that is transformer. To obtain a low voltage AC from high, what you are doing? You are stepping down. Initially you are high, now you are finding low. So this is called step down. Step down transformer. So these are the two main purposes of your transformer. So pause the video, note them down, then we will talk about the basic function of your transformer, or what is the basic your working of a transformer, how it is made, and how energy power is transferred through a transformer. So if I talk about construction of a transformer, there are three main parts of a transformer. So this is the very basic diagram. There are three main parts. Number one part, let us say this part. This part is called your core, and this is made up of soft iron. So it is like a structure of soft iron. Why it is made up of soft iron, we will discuss. So number one part of your transformer is core of the transformer. So core of the transformer is made of soft iron. Why it is made up of soft iron, we will discuss later on. Second part is your primary coil. Primary coil. So the coil across which your source voltage or source EMF is attached, that is called primary coil. Meaning, for example, you want to increase your voltage. So initially you have low voltage, meaning where the low voltage source will be attached, that will be called primary coil. If you want to reduce your voltage from high to low, so where a high voltage will be attached, that will be called your primary coil. So primary coil is nothing but wrapped loop around the core, and where source is connected and coil having N1 number of turns. So this coil has N1 number of turns. Okay. Now the third is your secondary coil. Secondary coil is from here where you take the output, meaning if you want from high to low, so low voltage is your output. So from where you take output, that is your secondary coil. So that is your secondary coil, from where output is taken. It has N2 turns. So number of turns in the secondary coil is assumed to be N2. Pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss further. Now let us talk about how your transformer actually works. So here I have attached an AC source across the primary coil. So what you can say is an AC source with EMF ES is attached to primary coil. So I have just attached an AC source whose EMF is ES across the primary coil. Now since there is a source, what will happen? There will be a current in the primary coil. So what I can say? A current I1 is established in primary coil. Now, what happens because of the current? Now remember, since this ES is this is an AC source. So this coil, the current which is flowing through the coil, that will also be an AC source. And since in case of an AC source, your current EMF is changing, so current will also change. And if the current changes, what will happen? First, what will happen? Because of the current, a magnetic field will be induced in the coil. The coil will produce a magnetic field. So let us write current I1 produces a magnetic field in primary coil. So since through the wires of primary coil, current I1 is flowing, because of that current, a magnetic field is produced. Now remember, this coil is wound around the soft iron. So this is wound around the soft iron. Now what is happening is, this is similar to if you insert a rod, soft iron rod, if you place a soft iron rod inside a solenoid. So this coil is behaving like a solenoid and there is a soft iron material inside the solenoid. So what will happen? That soft iron material, that will get magnetized. So what you can say? Soft iron core will get magnetized due to this field. So this source produces a current in this coil. Because of the current, a magnetic field is produced, and because of that magnetic field, this soft iron core gets magnetized. Pause video, note it down, we will discuss further. Now what is happening is, until now, because of this current, there was magnetic field. Because of the magnetic field, this core was magnetized. Now here up to here, this core is one. There is one core. Now on the same core, on one arm there is primary coil, on the second arm there is secondary coil. So now since the core is getting magnetized, what I can say, throughout this entire soft iron core, a uniform magnetic field will be present. It is same material. And since it is same material, I can assume that a uniform magnetic field is produced or established throughout the soft iron core. So what I can say? A uniform magnetic field is established throughout the core. So through this entire core, here also same magnetic field, 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 everywhere magnetic field is same. So throughout the your soft iron core, same uniform magnetic field is established because this entire core is one material. Okay. Now since throughout soft iron core magnetic field is what? Same. Then what will happen? Let us talk about one turn of this coil and one turn of this coil. Now we are working under the assumption that area of one turn in both primary and secondary coil is same. We are taking that assumption that here also area is same, here also area is same. And if area of one loop, one turn in primary and secondary is same and magnetic field is same everywhere, then can I say magnetic flux through one turn of primary will be same as magnetic flux through one turn of secondary. So does not matter one turn you take in primary or secondary, magnetic flux will be same. Why? Because field is same everywhere and we are working under the assumption that area of one turn is same in both. So what I will say, magnetic flux through each turn of primary, so let us write magnetic flux through each turn of primary's coil will be same as magnetic flux through one turn of secondary. So one turn of primary will have same magnetic flux as one turn of secondary. Why? Because field is everywhere same and we are assuming that area of coil, one loop in both the coils are same. Now if each turn has same magnetic field, then what about total flux? Same magnetic flux, so what about total flux? Remember, they don't have equal number of turns. For example, if in a coil you have n number of turns, then what is total flux? Total flux is nothing but summation of flux through each turn. So capital N times flux through one turn. So what you will say? If I ask what is the total flux through coil 1, then what you will say? Let us say total flux through primary. What is the total flux through primary coil? Total number of turns here is N1 and flux, let us say phi, which is same in primary as well as secondary. So total flux in primary coil will be N1 times phi. What about total flux through secondary? Total flux through secondary. What about that? Total flux through secondary coil will be what? This flux per unit, per turn, that is same in both. So N2, here N1, here it will be N2 number of turns. So here you will say that it will be N2 times phi. So this is total flux through the primary coil. This is total flux through secondary coil. Pause video, note it down, then we will discuss further. Now we know that what is the total flux through the primary coil and the secondary coil. Now remember, flux is a function of current and current is there because of this source and this is an AC source. So since source is varying, current will vary, and since current is varying, your flux will vary, and if flux varies, then there will be EMF induced across the primary coil. So what would be EMF induced across primary? So let us say EMF induced EMF induced in primary coil. So let us say EMF induced in primary coil is E1. Now we know that EMF induced according to Faraday's law, EMF induced is nothing but minus of d total flux divided by dt. And what is total flux? N1 times phi, where N1 is a constant. So minus of N1 times d phi by dt. That is the total flux induced in your primary coil. Now what about total flux in the secondary coil? Total flux, not flux, EMF induced, not flux, EMF induced in secondary coil. What is that? Now EMF induced in the secondary, how you will find? We already know what is flux in the secondary. What is flux in the secondary? N2 times phi, where phi is the flux per turn in both the coils. So E2 is nothing but minus of N2 d phi by dt, because N2 is a constant and phi is the flux through one turn. Okay. Now here d phi by dt, here whatever rate d phi by dt is in primary, same will be rate of change of one turn flux through the secondary. That would be same. So let us say this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. Now if I put the value of d phi by dt from first equation in second equation, what I will get? I can write E2 equals minus of N2, and in place of d phi by dt I can write E1 divided by minus N1. So minus minus plus, E1 divided by N1, like this. So what you will get? You will get E2 is nothing but E1 times N2 by N1, like this. So EMF induced in the second coil is nothing but EMF induced in the first coil, N2 by N1. Now we know that how EMF in the primary and secondary coil is connected. Let us talk about how is the current in primary and secondary connected. So here let us say that a resistor is connected across the secondary coil. If there is no resistor connected, then that will be an open circuit. For example, if this resistor is not there, then the secondary coil is an open circuit. And if it is an open circuit, there will be no current. So if you want the current, you will have to add a resistance R like this. Now assuming that there is no loss of energy, assuming that there is no resistance of these coils, there is no loss of energy, assuming that there are multiple ways where energy can be lost, so that we will talk about later. But assuming that there is no loss of energy in this transformer, that it is an ideal transformer, what we can say is whatever is power here, same will be power here. Meaning whatever is power supplied by this source, same can be the power delivered to this external resistor. And what is power? Power is nothing but EMF times current. So what you can say here is power input equals power output. This is on the basis of assumption that there is no power loss in this transformer. It is an ideal transformer. In your syllabus, we will be talking about ideal transformer. Okay. So if this is an ideal transformer, what is power input? EMF multiplied by current, that is power input. So E1 times I1. And what is power output? Power output is E2 times I2, like that. Now, if that is the case, what do I want? I want how much current is in the secondary circuit, I2. So, can I write it like this? I2 equals E1 times I1 divided by E2, like this. And if you remember how E1 and E2 are related, E2 is nothing but your E1 times N2 by N1, like this. So can I place E2 with that? So I can write I2 is nothing but E1 I1 divided by E2. What is E2? E1 N2 here N1. Cancel E1 and E1. What you will get? You will get I2 is nothing but I1 times N1 by N2, like this. So that is your I2. So two things we can relate: the voltage across primary circuit, primary coil, and the current in the primary coil. Both are related to each other in the secondary. They are related to each other on the basis of number of turns. So you can write EMF as E1 N2 by N1, like this. So you can write these two, then we will discuss further. Now if you remember, in the beginning of this lecture, we had talked about that there are two kinds of transformers. One is step up and other is step down. Now what is the meaning of step up and step down? Let us see. So if, let us say, if N2 is greater than N1, meaning total number of turns in the secondary coil is greater than total number of turns in primary coil. If that is the case, then what will happen? Now we have seen that secondary coil EMF is nothing but E1 times N2 by N1, like this. And since N2 is greater than N1, this value is greater than 1. So you can say E2 will be greater than E1. Meaning EMF induced or EMF produced across the secondary coil will be greater than EMF supplied across the primary coil. So that is E2 minus E1. This is called your step up transformer. Meaning your secondary EMF is greater than primary EMF. What about second type of, which is step down? Step down transformer. So let us say N1 is greater than N2. Here what will happen? E2 is nothing but E1 times N2 by N1. So here N1 is greater, denominator is greater, numerator is small. This value is smaller than 1. So here E2 will be less than E1. So this is your step down transformer. Why? Because EMF induced across the secondary coil is less than EMF supplied across the primary coil. Pause the video, note them down. Then we will discuss what are the ways through which there is energy loss in the real transformer. Remember, we have assumed for the purpose of our understanding that this is our ideal transformer. But in real transformer, always some amount of energy is lost. Note it down, then we will discuss those ways in which energy is lost. Now let us talk about the ways through which in real transformer some energy is lost. So first way through which you can say energy is lost is that, if you remember, we have assumed that whatever flux is induced or whatever is the magnetic field produced here, same is the magnetic field throughout this core. That we have assumed. But that is not always true. Why? Because this is a soft iron core. Now it may happen that magnetic field is produced outside this core as well. There may be magnetic field outside this core. Now if you have observed this, for example, if there is a transformer in your area, so near around the transformer, you will not get your cell phone signal very strong. Why? Because the transformer itself is producing magnetic field, and that magnetic field is interfering with your cell phone or smartphone signal. So it is possible that some amount of magnetic field is produced outside the transformer as well. And what actually is magnetic field? Magnetic field is nothing but a form of energy. So energy is getting lost in the form of magnetic field produced outside the core. So in this way, some amount of energy is lost. So that is called flux leakage. Why it is called flux leakage? Because some field is produced outside the core, not inside. Inside the it is produced. Inside which is produced, which is used here. But if that is produced outside, then it is lost. There is no use of that. So first is called flux leakage. Flux leakage. In this, whatever amount of magnetic field is produced outside the core, that is lost. That energy is lost. So if field is produced outside the core, it results in loss of energy. So that is one way in which energy is lost in case of real transformers. This is an ideal we have already studied. Now the second way is that we have assumed, if you remember, that neither primary winding nor secondary winding has any resistance. So there is no resistance in either primary or secondary. But is that possible, that without resistance there is a wire? Superconductors are there, but in normal day-to-day life transformers, it is not possible. We use copper wire to minimize the resistance, but some resistance is still there, meaning there may be some resistance of the winding. And if there is a resistance, there will be energy loss in the form of heat. So we will say energy is lost in form of heat, due to resistance of coils. So in reality, it is not possible that there is a resistance less wire. It is superconductors, it is possible. But whatever transformers you have seen, that in them it is not possible. So they lose some energy in the form of heat due to the resistance of coil. Now another way is eddy current loss. How there is a loss in eddy current? Because there is a changing magnetic field. Due to changing magnetic field, there is a changing flux, and due to changing flux, eddy currents are introduced in the material of soft iron core. So you can say, due to changing flux, eddy currents are introduced. Eddy currents are produced in material of core. And whenever there is an eddy current, there is a loss of energy. Okay. Fourth, if you remember, when we were talking about materials, permanent magnets, we had talked about ferromagnetic material. And in case of a ferromagnetic material, there is a hysteresis curve. And if you remember, greater the area of hysteresis curve, greater is the energy loss. Now what is happening here? This is an AC source. And because it is an AC source, the direction of current will be changing continuously, very quickly. So what is happening? The material here, soft iron core, it is getting magnetized and demagnetized. Magnetized and demagnetized very quickly. Sometimes like 50 times in 1 second, very quickly. So this soft iron core is getting magnetized, demagnetized very quickly. That is why there is a hysteresis loss. Because in order to get magnetized and demagnetized, some amount of energy is lost to magnetize and demagnetize your soft iron core. So you can write hysteresis loss. So energy is lost in magnetizing and demagnetizing demagnetizing soft iron core. Now that is one of the reasons why soft iron core is used, because energy loss in soft iron core is less. Other reason is it is very easy to magnetize and demagnetize your soft iron core. So it may be asked why soft iron core is used in the your transformer or core of the transformer. So what you can say, there are two reasons. Number one, that loss of energy in the form of hysteresis is less. Second is, in the core of a transformer, since current is changing very frequently, it should be easier for the core to magnetize and demagnetize. So it is easy for soft iron core to magnetize and demagnetize. That is why soft iron core is used in transformers. You can pause the video and note down. Let us solve a question based on your transformer. Here the question is given, a transformer has 50 turns in primary and 100 turns in secondary coil. If primary is connected to a 220 volt DC supply, what would be voltage across secondary? Now I want you to pause the video and try to solve it yourself first. This is a very interesting. Now let us solve. So here you have studied that E2 equals E1 times N2 by N1, like this. Now what is E1? 220. What is N2? 100. Secondary coil 100. What is N1? 50. So what is this? 2200. Now how many of you have done it like this? Everyone is wrong. If you have done it like this, you have done it wrong. Why? Here, if you did not pay attention, here they are saying it is a DC supply. Supply across the primary coil is what? DC. In case of a DC, remember, what was the basic principle of the transformer? That I was changing the flux in the primary, and due to that, flux was changed in the secondary. And because of the change in flux, EMF was induced. Remember, what was E2? E2 was your N2 times d phi by dt. If it is a DC source, current is constant. If the current is constant, your flux, magnetic field is constant. If the magnetic field is constant, your flux is constant. And if the flux is constant, what about this value? This value is 0. And if that value is 0, what is your EMF induced across the secondary? 0. Meaning if you want to use transformer using a battery, suppose that you have a 12 volt battery and you want to generate, let us say, 120 volt EMF, then you cannot use transformer to do that, because a transformer works on the principle that changing flux produces EMF. And in case of a DC, flux is constant. If the flux is constant, then your transformer will not work. So you can write that as a note, that a transformer doesn't work with DC source. Why it doesn't work? Because the whole principle of the transformer is changing flux. And in case of a DC source, flux will not change. That is why a transformer will not work with a DC source. So here you had to pay attention that they are saying DC supply, not AC supply. You can pause the video and note it down. Let us solve an easy question based on your transformer. Here it says a power transmission line feeds input power at 2300 volt to a step down transformer. If primary winding has 4000 turns, then what should be the number of turns in the secondary winding to get an output of 230 volt? Okay, so we have seen E2 is nothing but E1 N2 by N1. Now if this seems too easy for you, next will be, I hope, up to the standard. Now E2 is what? 230. What is E1? E1 is 2300. What is N2? That's what we have to find. What is N1? 4000. So let us cancel like this. So N2 will be nothing but 40 times 10, that is 400 tons. Very easy. So this is how you can find that whatever ratio you want. For example, if I say that my output power should be, let us say, 460, then you can find what should be the number of tons in the secondary coil. If I say output power should be 110 or 100, then also you can find what should be the number of ton in the secondary coil using this formula. Pause the video, note down, then we will solve a slightly better question. Now let us try to solve another question based on your power transfer through a transformer. Now here the question given is, a small town needs 800 kilowatt of power at 220 volts. It is situated 15 km away from generation plant. Plant generates power at 440 volt. So let us say there is a power plant. What kind of that power plant is, that we are not concerned with. So this is your power plant. Now this power plant generates power at 440 volt, meaning whatever power is generated, the EMF is 440. So here two wires, they are generated at 440. Now, so we know that before transmission, power is your voltage step up, meaning transmission of the power is not done at 440. You might have seen those very long towers, especially in the countryside. There are very large long towers, and there are very thick wires going through those towers. So those are your transmission lines. Sometimes when you stand beneath the tower, you can actually hear the humming noise. That is due to the electricity transmission, power transmission. So before the power is transmitted, what happens? There is a step up transformer, meaning the power or the electricity voltage is step up, it is increased. Up to how much increased, that we don't know here. Okay, now it is given that the town is situated 15 km from the generation plant. So from here 15 km generation plant, and here it is given town gets power through a substation. So you are transmitting at a very high voltage. Why you are transmitting at high voltage, that we will see. So very high voltage substation through a 4000 watt 220 volt. So here there will be a step down transformer. There will be a step down transformer. How much is this? This step down transformer is 4000 volt 220 volts, meaning the initial is this primary voltage of this step down transformer is 4000 volt, secondary voltage is 220, and from here power can go to your houses. From here the power can go to your houses. Okay. Now what they are asking, there are multiple questions. I have written only one here. We will see the others later. One is estimate power loss in transmission. Meaning I have to find that during the power was transmitted through these lines, how much power was lost. Then first let us find what is the resistance of these two wires. So here it is given resistance of the wire carrying current is 0.5 ohm per kilometer. Now if distance is 15 km and there are two wires, then what is the total length of the wire? 15 plus 15, that is 30. So what is total resistance? Total resistance is 30 km multiplied by 0.5 km or 0.5 ohm per kilometer, like this. So total is how much? Total is 15 ohm. So total resistance of your transmission wire is 15 ohm. Now, if the resistance of the wire is 15 ohm, how do you find the current? There are two ways to, not current, how do you find the power loss? There are two ways to find the power loss. either you use I square R formula to find the power, or you use V square by R formula, that is potential difference across. Now here you don't know what is the voltage here. You know what is the voltage here, 4000 ohm volts, but you don't know what is the voltage here. Now, can I know the current in this circuit? Let us try. You have seen that in a transformer, output power is equal to input power. That you have studied. Assuming that your transformer is ideal, if the output power, how much is the output power? What is output power? Here the power is supplied to the town, whatever city, town, whatever it is. So the town needs how much power? 800 kilowatt power. Since the town needs 800 kilowatt power, and we are assuming that this transformer at substation applies or supplies that 800 kilowatt power, meaning secondary power output in this case is 800 kilowatt. So if the output is 800 kilowatt, input should also be 800 kilowatt, correct? Now, so output should be 800 kilowatt. So input should be, that should also be 800 kilowatt. Now let us assume that current in this coil here, current in the coil is I. What is potential here? 4000. So what is power? Potential multiplied by current, that is power. So can I write it like this? 4000 multiplied by I. That is the power input in this transformer. And this is power output, both should be same. So I is how much? This 3 cancel. I is nothing but 800 divided by 4, that is 200 ampere. That is your I. So current in this coil here is how much? 200 ampere. Very high. Now based on this, what is power loss? Now remember, in case here, what is the case here? Here it is, here also there is a transformer, right? Here it is step up transformer. Here it is step down transformer. So here there will be a coil like this. So this coil, let's see here, this is a closed loop like this. This is a closed loop. And in a closed loop, everywhere current will be same. Current everywhere in this loop will be same. Then what I can say? What is power loss? Power loss is nothing but I square times resistance. What is I? 200. What is R? 15. So let us write 200 square times 15. What is 200 square times 15? 4 into 15, 60. 60 into 10 to the power 4. So that is your 60 into 10 to the power 4 watt, or that can be written as 600 kilowatt. Meaning, in order to transfer the power here, in these transmission lines, 600 kilowatt of power is lost. That much power is lost of no use. That much power is lost in the form of heat energy in these transmission lines. You can pause the video and note it down. Then we will try to discuss or understand why the power is transmitted at high voltage. Power can be transmitted at low, but it is always transmitted at high voltage. Why? Pause the video, note it down, then we will try to understand. So let us try to understand why there is a need to transmit power at high voltage, very high voltage. Why? So there are two reasons. Number one reasons, most of the students think that, sir, you are using I square R. Why not use V square divided by R? If I use the formula V square divided by R, then higher the voltage, higher is the power loss, because R is same. That is the most basic question every student asks. Now if you pay attention, here current is flowing, correct? And if the current is flowing, let us take 2 points. Let us take this section and let us take this section. Will the potential difference across this and this section be same? No. Since your current is flowing potential difference across any two section will not be same. Meaning your potential across all the 15 ohm is not same. So you cannot use the formula your V square divided by R. You cannot use that. Now why there is a high voltage transmission, let us understand. Now let us suppose I need to transfer some amount of power. Because anyway, what is the purpose? The purpose is I need to transfer some amount of power from here to here. Now, remember, in this coil also the power is transferred. Now let us say I need to transfer, let us say 100 kilowatt. This is just an example. This example has nothing to do with this question. This is just an example to make you understand why we need to transfer at very high voltage. So let us say I need to transfer 100 kilowatt of power. Okay. Now since here in this coil, let us say I decided, let us take two examples. Let us say I decided that in one case, in first case, I will transfer at 1000 volts. I will transfer or transmit power at 1000 volt. And let us say in second case, I will transfer power at 10 to the power 6 volts, meaning 10 to the power 3 times more than this. Now, let us take first case. In first case, unrelated to the question at hand, if 100 kilowatt is the power and this is the potential here at which I am transmitting my power, what should be the current? Power is nothing but 1000 times I, which is equal to 10 to the power 5, like this. So here current will be 100 ohm. Correct? Now what about in second case? In second case you can say, second case, power is nothing but 10 to the power 6 times I, and I will be nothing but 10 to the power 5 divided by 10 to the power 6, 1 by 10 ohm. So in the second case, your current is very low, meaning higher the transmission voltage, higher is the transmission voltage, lower is your current. Higher the voltage, lower the current. And I cannot use V square by R. Why I cannot use V square by R? Because in order to use V square by R, potential should be same across all the 15 ohm. But here potential is not same across all the 15 ohm. That is why we use I square R formula. So I square R in case of transmission line, it is also called copper loss. So energy loss in the transmission is also called copper loss, that you can write. So higher the voltage, lower the current, and lower the current, lower is your copper loss. You cannot apply V square by R formula because V is not same throughout your resistance, like that. Okay. So that way, that is why we need your I square R, and that is why we transmit power at a very, very high voltage. Higher the voltage, lower the current, and lower the current, lower is your copper loss or transmission loss. So in this question, how much power was lost? 600 kilowatt power was lost. Now second question. Second question is, what is power supplied by the plant? Okay. So here they are asking, what is the power supplied here? Now that is easy. Let us write B power supplied. Now very easy. The town is using how much? 800. And how much is lost? 600. So what should be the power supplied by the plant? So power supplied should be nothing but used plus lost. So used is 800 kilowatt. The town is using 600 kilowatt was lost in the transmission lines. So power supplied by the power plant must be 1400 kilowatts. Now the third question is that what is the characteristics of this step up transformer? See, characteristics. Correct. Of step up transformer. Now what is the characteristic of this step up transformer? Meaning this step up transformer input is 440 volt. What is the output here? What is the output voltage? Now if you remember, we have just calculated in the second option that what is the power supplied by the plant? Power supplied by the plant is 1400 kilowatt. We have just calculated. So power supplied by the plant is 1400 kilowatt. And if you remember, in the first question, when we were calculating power loss, we had calculated that current in this circuit or in these lines is 200 ampere. That current is same throughout this. So here 200 ampere current. What is the power here? 1400 kilowatt, like this. And power is nothing but voltage. Power here, not power loss, power here, power output in this step up transformer. So power output in the second transformer, step up transformer, is nothing but 1400 kilowatt, which is equal to 200 ampere multiplied by E. So E is nothing but how much? 1400 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 200. Cancel out. That would be 7 kilovolt or 7000 volt. Now, since this is 7000 volt known, now you can see the difference. Here, step up transformer produced started transmitting power at what voltage? At 7000 volts. By the time current reaches here, what is the voltage? 4000. So here it is 7000. Here it is 4000. So that way voltage decreases. So you start transmitting at 7000. By the time it reaches substation, it becomes 4000. So this way you can solve your numericals based on power transmission. So in this lecture of your alternating current, we have covered what is transformer, how a transformer is made or how it works, what is step up transformer, what is step down transformer, how the power in secondary coil and the primary coil is same. Now how the ratio should be for step up or step down. We have also tried to solve few questions based on your transmission of power. So this will be the end of your lectures for alternating current. You can revise your topics, try to solve as many problems as you can. And if you have any doubt, just ask them in your doubt group.